Welcome to the third lesson of SmartKnitter. Knit Instructions Level 2. Begin by opening an Intercia file with multiple colors. Notice the use of both left and right feeders on the same rail due to the abundance of colors. While translating, a warning appears indicating that the carriage cannot engage feeder 1. In the machine code page, observe the movements. Upon zooming in, you'll notice feeders 1 and 9 alternating with tucks in the knitting area, indicating feeder setup issues. Return to Smart Graph, select Feeder Setup, and review the arrangement of feeders 1 and 9. Feeder 1 carries color 7 in Zone 1, Ravel yarn, and color 14 in Zone 18, body color on the right. The yarn end is positioned to the right side, since color 14 is closer to the right edge of the panel. Feeder 9 holds color 13 in Zone 10, body color, and color 17 in Zone 17, ravel yarn for the neck bottom cast-off. When using both left and right feeders on the same rail, avoid setting the yarn end to the opposite side of the knitting panel. During intarsia on a knitting machine, keep feeders on the same rail as far apart as possible to prevent collisions. Maintain a safe distance between feeders to prevent collisions. Let's edit this file. Initially, do not set the yarn end of left side feeders to the right. Drag color 14 in Zone 18 to the right side feeders and disable the Ravel yarn property for this feeder. Proceed to feeder 9. For color 13 in Zone 10, used for cast-off, disable the ravel yarn property. When using body yarns for ravel yarn and drawn thread, it is necessary to check off the ravel yarn or drawn thread properties to ensure correct translation. Retranslate to machine code to verify error resolution. Feeders are brought out upon completing the knitting process. This concludes the first example. Now, let's review the other file. This file knits jacquard in the body. Select Feeders Setup to convert into a machine file. After translation, the Ravel yarn feeder before cast-on is reassigned to feeder 0, which is obviously incorrect. Return to Smart Graph, access Feeder Setup, and correct the position of color chip for the Ravel yarn before cast-on, which should be color 22 in Zone 22. For Chinese and stole machines, utilize only the outermost slots. Shimoseki machines allow additional feeders in extra slots. Drag the feeder to an available outer slot and retranslate. The problem is solved. Let's move on to the next file. In this panel, we are knitting stripes, and Ravel yarn for the neck bottom cast-off is knitted with the body yarn. Arrange the feeders and click Translate. Feeder 3 is introduced with tucks to knit the ravel yarn for the neck bottom, which is not necessary. Let's return to Smart Graph for inspection. Feeder 3 knits color 1 in Zone 1, displayed as purple on the panel. Feeder 2 knits color 2 in Zone 1, shown as gray on the panel. Gray and purple alternate in a striped pattern. Color 17 in Zone 7 is the ravel yarn for the neck bottom. It is advised to use feeder 2 instead of feeder 3 for this section. Knitting with the yarn just before the ravel yarn section at the neck bottom can prevent feeder sequence errors and yarn being brought in from outside the knitting area. Drag color 17 in Zone 17 to feeder row 2 and translate again. Feeder 2 knits the reveal yarn section for the neck bottom before exiting the knitting area without additional tucking. Let's review another file. There is a partial jacquard in the front center, with intarsia on both sides. Click Feeder Setup. Translate. A warning has appeared indicating that Feeder 7 will collide with another feeder. Feeder 7 is set to collide with Feeder 17. Let's return to SmartGraph for inspection. Feeder 7 represents color 7 in Zone 7, the ending ravel yarn, and color 22 in Zone 22, the starting ravel yarn. Feeder 7 shares the same rail as Feeder 15. Color 8 in Zone 6 is the intarsia section here. Move color 8 in Zone 6 to Feeder 13 to avoid collision, as the knitting sections are further apart. Translate again. There is no collision warning anymore. First, knit the partial jacquard section. Then, knit the intarsia section. Let's examine another file. This panel also features an intarsia structure. The neckline portion shows unnecessary tucking. Inspect the neck area. Both feeders 4 and 6 are active. Return to SmartGraph and review the arrangements of feeders 4 and 6. Feeder 4 is set to knit color 1 in Zone 2 as a partial knit feeder, as shown here. Additionally, color 1 in Zone 6 is also assigned to Feeder 4. There is a chip for color 1 in Zone 9 for Feeder 6. Although the zones differ, they use the same color, indicating the same yarn. Move the chip for color 1 in Zone 2 to Feeder 6's slot. Translate again. Feeder 6 now knits the partially knitted neckline and exits to the right after knitting, improving feeder efficiency. This marks the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching.